You thought Argentina would never do business with China? Think again. Argentina, a nation on the brink of collapse. Its leader once denouncing a superpower as an existential threat, suddenly embracing it as a lifeline. In a stunning turn of events, Argentina's new president, Javier Milei, is flipping the script on foreign policy by reaching out to China, just when many thought he doubled down on his past rhetoric. What's driving this shocking shift? And how could it reshape Argentina's future on the global stage?
When he was still campaigning, Argentina's new president Javier Milei threatened to cut ties with Beijing, favoring trade with the US and Europe. But after 23 years of negotiations, a European free trade deal still seems to be a long way off. That leaves none other than China as an increasingly important trading partner for Argentina, something that is softening the hardline anti-Beijing stance of the country's new president.
Javier Milei, the outspoken libertarian economist and president of Argentina, has undergone a startling transformation in his foreign policy approach. Once a vocal critic of China, he now sees it as a key ally in addressing Argentina's crippling economic crisis. What changed? As the nation grapples with inflation rates soaring above 130% and poverty affecting 40% of the population, Milei's administration is under immense pressure to find solutions. According to a report by Bloomberg, Argentina is facing one of the worst economic crises in its history, prompting Milei to reconsider his stance on China. The Argentine president is hoping that Chinese investment will serve as a lifeline for an economy in dire straits. This pivot signals a shift in priorities as Milei seeks to attract foreign capital to revitalize industries and stabilize the currency. In the words of Diego Ceballos, an economic analyst at the Universidad de Buenos Aires, Milei's embrace of China is not just political, it's a necessity. He recognizes that without foreign investment, Argentina's economy will continue to spiral downward. Now, let's weigh the stakes. Is this alliance a lifeline, or could it ultimately prove to be a liability for Milei? While the prospect of Chinese investment presents a glimmer of hope, it also carries significant risks. China's no-strings-attached investment strategy may be appealing to Milei, but it raises questions about dependency. Some experts believe countries that rely heavily on Chinese financing often find themselves vulnerable to political pressures and economic conditions dictated by Beijing. According to a study from the Center for Strategic and International Studies, countries that engage deeply with China have faced repercussions in the form of increased debt and reduced sovereignty. With Argentina's current economic vulnerability, this relationship could entangle Milei in a web of dependency that may be difficult to escape. As Diane Liu, an expert in Latin American-China relations, points out, while the immediate financial aid is critical, Milei must tread carefully. History has shown that these partnerships can quickly turn from advantageous to exploitative. Please like and subscribe. Your support helps us grow. Thank you. Transitioning from potential liabilities to motivations, let's explore why Milei is betting on Chinese investment. The allure of quick, substantial financial inflows is hard to resist, especially when traditional allies like the United States are tightening their purse strings in response to Argentina's past economic mismanagement. China has positioned itself as a major player in Latin America, providing funds for infrastructure and development projects without the stringent requirements often associated with Western loans. This no-strings-attached approach seems like a dream come true for Milei, who is desperate for a solution to Argentina's economic malaise. However, this gamble is fraught with risks. As highlighted in an article from The Economist, such investments can come with hidden costs, including environmental degradation, loss of local jobs, and increased political influence from China. Milei's administration must navigate these challenges carefully, as prioritizing short-term gains could jeopardize Argentina's long-term interests. Now we elevate the tension by examining how Milei plans to balance relations with both China and the United States. While pursuing Chinese investments, he must also consider the implications for Argentina's traditional ties with Washington. The United States has historically been Argentina's largest trading partner, and Milei's administration must tread lightly to avoid alienating this crucial ally. According to Reuters, American officials have expressed concern over Argentina's growing closeness to China, warning that this could complicate trade negotiations. As Milei engages in this geopolitical tightrope walk, his strategy could have far-reaching consequences for Argentina's economy. If he leans too heavily toward China, he risks jeopardizing vital support from the United States, including potential loans from the International Monetary Fund. Economist Carmen Reinhart notes, Milei faces an uphill battle. To maintain support from both powers, he must demonstrate that Argentina can be a reliable partner without becoming overly dependent on one side. To broaden our perspective, let's analyze how China's increasing influence in Latin America disrupts U.S. dominance in the region. Traditionally, the United States has held significant sway over Latin American politics and economics, but China's aggressive investment strategy is changing the game. China's Belt and Road Initiative has led to an influx of investment in infrastructure, mining, and agriculture across Latin America. Argentina, with its vast natural resources and agricultural potential, has become a focal point for this strategic expansion. As reported by the Financial Times, China's investments in Latin America reached approximately $100 billion in 2023, signaling a shift in regional dynamics. This growing presence challenges U.S. hegemony and forces American policymakers to reassess their strategies in the region. In the words of Francisco Gonzalez, a Latin American studies professor at Johns Hopkins University, China is not just another investor. It's a geopolitical player reshaping the landscape. The United States must respond effectively to remain relevant in Latin America. Let's now look at Argentina's recent trade fluctuations with China, which serve as a microcosm of global economic instability. Trade between the two nations has been volatile, influenced by factors like fluctuating commodity prices and geopolitical tensions. In 2022, Argentina's exports to China amounted to $2.2 billion, primarily in soybeans and agricultural products. However, as reported by the World Bank, a decline in global commodity prices led to significant trade disruptions, highlighting the fragility of Argentina's economic ties with China. As Milei seeks to stabilize the economy, these fluctuations raise questions about the long-term sustainability of relying heavily on one trading partner. In the context of ongoing global uncertainties, economic resilience becomes paramount. Without a diversified trade strategy, Argentina risks exposure to sudden shifts in Chinese demand or prices, which could exacerbate its existing economic challenges. Now we zoom back in to explore how Milei's economic choices intertwine with Argentina's pressing need for Chinese support. With inflation soaring and poverty levels climbing, can this pivot actually salvage his ambitious economic reforms? Milei's government has promised sweeping changes, including reducing government spending and deregulating key industries. However, these reforms have faced backlash, as many Argentines fear that austerity measures will deepen their struggles. Experts warn that without immediate financial support, Milei's reforms may stall. As Daniel Artana, an economist at the Fundación de Investigaciones Económicas Latinoamericanas, states, Milei needs foreign investment now more than ever. If he fails to secure it, his economic agenda may collapse, leaving millions in hardship. This precarious situation puts Milei in a challenging position. He must demonstrate that engaging with China can lead to tangible improvements in the lives of everyday Argentines, while navigating the complexities of international politics. As we question the cost of this relationship, we must ask, is China's influence helping or hurting Argentina's sovereignty in critical sectors like agriculture and infrastructure? China's investments in these areas could spur development and create jobs. However, there are concerns that such influence may come at a steep price, compromising Argentina's ability to make independent decisions in critical sectors. The growing presence of Chinese firms in agriculture, for example, raises alarms about control over food supply and local economies. According to a report by the Food and Agriculture Organization, there are fears that foreign investments can lead to land grabbing and the displacement of local farmers. As Maria Eugenia de la Vega, a political analyst, emphasizes, while investment can drive growth, we must ensure that it does not come at the expense of our sovereignty. The question remains, are we empowering ourselves or becoming beholden to foreign powers? As we build toward a critical conflict, we explore how Milei's economic reforms risk alienating citizens while courting foreign investors. This tension is palpable as austerity measures clash with the pressing needs of a population already reeling from economic hardship. Milei's administration is caught in a crossfire of expectations. On one hand, he must attract foreign investment to stabilize the economy. On the other, he faces rising discontent among citizens who fear that economic reforms will exacerbate poverty and inequality. Protests have erupted in response to proposed spending cuts, highlighting the fragile social fabric of Argentine society. As Inés Pujol, a social scientist, points out, the government's choices will determine whether we move toward recovery or further unrest. Balancing foreign interests with domestic needs is a delicate act. Milei's ability to navigate these competing pressures could define his presidency and determine whether he can turn Argentina's fortunes around or plunge the nation into further turmoil. As we gaze into the future to consider the implications for regional stability and alliances, if Milei successfully navigates this diplomatic tightrope, his administration's ability to maintain a delicate balance between China and the US could set a precedent for other Latin American countries. If successful, Milei's approach may inspire other nations to explore similar strategies of engagement with China while managing traditional ties with the US. This could lead to a significant shift in the geopolitical landscape of Latin America. However, failure could trigger a wave of instability, prompting other countries to reassess their own alliances and economic strategies. As the dynamics of power continue to shift, the stakes for Milei and for Argentina remain extraordinarily high. As Fernando Pineda, a regional analyst, warns, Milei's choices will resonate beyond Argentina. The outcome of this diplomatic dance could redefine relationships across the continent for years to come. As we conclude this exploration of Milei's unexpected embrace of China, we are left with more questions than answers. Will this pivot be a lifeline for Argentina, or will it entangle the nation in a web of dependency? The implications of this diplomatic shift extend far beyond Argentina's borders, shaping the future of regional stability and alliances. With every decision, Milei is not only determining his presidency's fate, but also navigating the complex terrain of global power dynamics. In this intense game of diplomacy, the challenges are immense, and the future remains uncertain. As Argentina moves forward, one thing is clear: the world is watching. We're glad you're enjoying this video. Please like and subscribe. Check out another video that is now on your screen.